Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are going to start. Yeah, I will share a slide. Hmm, So, all right. So, welcome to Book Brewers. Just the four of us because this is the long weekend. Yeah, but fine. After all, our tagline is cultivating the passion for lifelong learning. So, nothing can stop us from the passion of our lifelong learning. Yeah. Yeah. So, we want to cultivate this passion, and we want to do it for lifelong learning. And the way we do our meeting is that we are going to share the book that we read. Can be in the past month or previous months is fine. Any book, any non-fiction book that you want to share. And these are the questions as a guideline. So first, the title of the book and what it's about. So simply an introduction about the book, and also why did you decide to read the book? So if you can understand the decision behind why. Actually, I have a term for this from a book that I read. It's called origin story. So the story of why we decided to do something, it will be more interesting for us, and we will appreciate the lessons more when we know the short story about why we decide to read that book. And then third, what are your key takeaways from the book? So there's no need to be too details or specific, but what are the key learning points that you get from the book? And then maybe there is a question from the book that you would like for other people to chime in and give opinion. It's fine. Maybe there is an idea in the book that is controversial and you want to discuss it with us. That can be done, but this is optional, so it's up to you. Is there a question that you'd like to discuss? And lastly, any questions from the audience? Usually we have quite a lot of time for this because like me personally, I'm very interested in what the others read. So usually I ask questions. So we will provide quite a lot of time for the last part here. Any question from the audience? All right, because there are only four of us. Who want to start first?
Donald lah.
Yeah. Usually I'm the last one. Okay, okay, I will start. So the book that I will share, I will start this. The book that I will share is Think Again. Wait, I will put the questions for our discussion in the chat. All right. So I put in the chat. So the title of the book is Think Again by Adam Grant. And what it's about? It's about rethinking. So previously I read book about how to learn maybe or how to think, but this one is quite different in my opinion because this one is about rethinking. The next question there, why did you decide to read the book? I think it's a good or even a great time for rethinking because we are in the midst of a pandemic. And the book is out in February, so quite new, just 1 month ago. So I think the publication time for the book itself is at the right time for the book because we are in the midst of a pandemic and hopefully this year the pandemic will end. So it's time for something new. That's why I'm very interested and I make it a priority to read this book. Actually, I have other books, quite a lot, but when I book this book, I make it a priority to finish this first. What are your key takeaways from the book? All right, so there are some interesting quotes from the book. First, that I'd like to share. Intelligence is traditionally viewed as the ability to think and learn. By the way, you do not need to share exact quotes, just key takeaways. Here I happen to take notes of the exact quotes. Intelligence is traditionally viewed as the ability to think and learn. Yet, in a turbulent world, there is another set of cognitive skills that might matter more, the ability to rethink and unlearn. So I think it's interesting. Usually we focus on thinking and learning, but it says an equally important skill is rethinking and unlearning. Actually, it happens quite a lot with me, unlearning. There are some things that I believe for a long time, then I must learn to unlearn those, and these are very useful. And then another thing from the book is that usually we often slip into three modes: preachers, prosecutors, and politicians, which prevent us from rethinking. So a preacher will preach that I am right. A prosecutor will say or tell that everybody is wrong, that's prosecutor. And politician will try to get support for his or her view. So these are three modes that we can fall into that prevent us from rethinking. We can be preaching about why we are right, prosecute why other people is wrong, and politicking, trying to get support for our view. But the right mode actually is scientist mode. As a scientist, we make hypothesis and we test it with data, with facts, and then we are ready to refine our conclusion based on the experiment. So that is the right mode. And another interesting quote from the book: being good at thinking can make you worse at rethinking. So I think it's interesting because the more I'm good at thinking, it usually means that I adopt more of the conventional wisdom. And that can make us worse at rethinking. Some people say that Einstein, it's not in the book, just crossed my mind. Some people say that Einstein was so good because he was a bit late in learning, in traditional learning. That's why he could afford to think differently. Another quote from the book: I believe that good teachers introduce new thoughts, but great teachers introduce new ways of thinking. I like this quote because, yes, usually as a teacher, because I was a teacher also, we focus on giving new thoughts, new ideas to our students, and that is a mark of good teacher. But a great teacher will give not just thoughts, but new ways of thinking, so they can think by themselves. So I think that's interesting. And there is a lot more, but yeah, maybe, oh, one more. There are two cycles. First, overconfidence cycle and rethinking cycle. So we can fall into overconfidence cycle, and that prevent us from rethinking. But actually, we should focus on rethinking cycle, and that starts with what the author calls confident humility. So we must be humble. We must be open to the chance or the possibility that we are wrong. But on the other hand, we have the confidence that we are able to learn. So the confidence is not in a particular idea or opinion, but in our ability to learn. So it's different. All right, so those are the key takeaways. Now, is there a question that you would like to discuss? Well, not yet. Any question from the audience?
Donald, I remember in this book they have certain illustration that is interesting, right? Yes. Do you have an illustration maybe you want to share with us in this book? I got a deja vu because I thought like I have heard this review before, but it turned out it was in my other book club. Somebody talked about it,
Okay.
but it was
It is
several
similar
months
with
ago.
barking up with the wrong tree, actually. The
Barking up the
unlearn,
wrong tree.
the
But
unlearn, but yeah, all those stuff.
yeah, but this particular book has been discussed in several months ago. I forgot what
Oh.
which club,
This
but
book,
they
this
have
book,
really good illustration.
this book just came out in February.
In February this year?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, so that must be another book. Yeah.
Maybe the source is different.
Adam Grant. I don't know.
Adam
So
Grant.
the book is in February, so that must be it's a different book. Yeah.
But this is his third book, right? Third book, or
Yeah,
I forgot, second or third book.
Yeah.
Maybe the other book was discussed in Pipit's other book club, and I do believe maybe it's Kariska was the one who presented. If it's Adam Grant, I think she present Adam Grant's book last month.
Originals.
The originals. That was last month, right? Because I also forgot the time.
Maybe. Yeah, I
But
just a deja vu. Like I've heard this before. Where did I hear this? But I remember there was a really cool illustration about it. So
oh,
can you share your favorite illustration?
Yeah, actually, he opens the book with the story of some firefighters. They fought a forest fire in the 1940s, and it went bad. The fire was uncontrollable, and they had to try to save themselves from the fire. But what happened was that at the end, 12 of the firefighters died because of the fire. But the leader managed to escape despite not having strong physical strength. Yeah, so quite old, but he managed to escape. How? He did his tools. So that was something that is unthinkable for firefighters, because the tools is part of their identity. That's actually something else that is discussed in the book. What makes you difficult to rethink is that you make something as your identity. For example, I am a teacher. I am a firefighter. This identity makes you attached to a certain idea and belief. For example, a firefighter must have his tools with him, something like that. And in addition, this person, the leader, actually used a fire to create an escape route. So it's like a grass, and he created a fire to create an escape route in the forest. So it was something completely new. There was a fire behind, but he used another kind of his own fire to open the way out. So very creative, and something that is unthinkable for them. So that's an example from the book. There is something else actually that I just remembered. There is a survey of presidents in the United States, and they try to figure out what is the most important characteristic of great presidents. And the conclusion, so what I like from Adam Grant is that he is a scientist. So everything that he wrote is based on scientific papers, not just opinion or anecdotal stories, because he is a scientist at Wharton, I think, Pennsylvania Business School. And the characteristic that differentiates the great presidents are they show the intellectual curiosity. They are curious to learn about many things, not just politics, but many other things. A great example is Theodore Roosevelt. But that is another story, too long to tell about Theodore Roosevelt. But you can read the Wikipedia biography of this person, and you can see the breadth of his life. That is just one life with so many interests. So if you are interested, you can open the Wikipedia page of Theodore Roosevelt, just read. So amazing. So that is an example. And yeah, okay. So maybe another question.
I'm curious about the unlearn process that this book mentioned, because in the book Barking Up the Wrong Tree, Eric Barker also mentioned something about unlearn, because sometimes the things that you learn is not always the right things, and it's very important for us to keep on questioning on what are on whatever we believe in. So I want to know more about the unlearn that he mentions in this book.
Okay. Wait, I will find, yeah. So there is a guideline actually, a guideline of sort in the book. Now I read the quote. First, interrogate information instead of simply consuming it. So interrogate the information instead of simply consuming it. First, second, reject rank and popularity as a proxy for reliability. And third, understand the sender of information, that the sender of information is often not its source. So first, when we receive information, we must keep an open mind, and we must not accept it just because someone with authority tells it to us. But this person is very famous and he has big influence. So usually we just accept. Actually, it's another book called Influenced by Robert Cialdini or something like that. So when you have the appearance of authority, for example, you use a white coat as a doctor, whatever you say, even if you are a fake doctor, people will just believe you. So to
Yeah, that's
make,
fallacy. Fallacy.
yes, yes, it's actually a great book.
Fallacy belief.
I'm sure David is familiar with that book. Yeah.
But it's hard, because the influential things nowadays is very influential, and uh, they do aware that they can influence other people to do whatever they're doing, and this is somehow a pandemic on the teenagers, I think, nowadays, because they do have some influencer which they believe, he is very good or she's very nice, but then in the end, it's a must for them to do more research about the influencer, so then there will be no fallacy, just like what Pipit said before. Recognize faults, however high placed. Yep, that's true, Pipit. I guess that's it. My comments on the influential is very important because it's a very biased thing nowadays, because we do somehow judge people, especially the public figure, based on how many followers does she have. I mean, how many subscriber, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting topic. Learning to unlearn things is very important. I think one important thing is that we need to read diversely. That's why I love to read. We all here love to read diversely, not just in one particular area. Like Dia's favorite book, Friends, right? So
And I'm still absorbing and adopting to almost every part of the books until nowadays, especially about the genre of the books.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm reminded with Leonardo da Vinci in the biography, just the introduction, it says something like this by Walter Isaacson. It says, once when Leonardo da Vinci tried to convince, I think, um, a government official, a king, something like that, a prince, to give job to him, what he did was that he gave his resume letter, and in the first 10 paragraph, he talked about everything that he did, like bridges, architect, designing airplanes, all those things. And only in the last paragraph, he said, like almost in passing, oh, and I can also paint and make statues. So like that is the main job that he wants to this king or prince to give to him, but he mentioned it almost in passing after 10 paragraph of all kind of interest. So that's, I think, a good example of phrase. If there is nothing else, maybe comments from Pipit or David about unlearning or relearning? Yes?
I want to ask another question, Donald. Yeah. Is there any how-to or guidelines to reading? Otherwise, if we reading too much, it will become overthink.
Good
Reading.
point. Or never ending. Never
Yeah.
ending thinking. Like, how
Yep.
do we make up our mind then? Is it
Yeah.
enough? Is it now to make a decision? Something like that.
Yeah. Is there any guidelines or how-to do the reading?
The rethinking.
Yes. Because otherwise we will become overthinking.
Yeah. Actually, from the book, I will read another quote from the book. I happen to write the important quotes here. This one is from FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, one of the great presidents of the US in Great Depression and the beginning of World War II. And he said that the nation need bold, persistent experimentation. And the author agrees. Adam Grant wrote in the book that bold, persistent experimentation might be our best tool for rethinking. So first, there are three components in that short sentence. First, experimentation. So we make a hypothesis based on what we know and we try it in the real world, experimentation. Secondly, it is bold, meaning that we take risk, something that is unconventional, right? So we take risk, it could fail or it could get rejection, something like that. And third component there is that persistent, meaning we keep moving with our experiments. So I think this short sentence is quite good, yeah, for guideline. First, we want to make experiments. Secondly, it has to be bold. So we leave our comfort zone, we do something that is unconventional. And third, it needs to be persistent. So there could be failure, but we keep moving on, something like that. I don't know whether that answers the question or not. Yeah.
I have a comment, Donald. So
Yes,
thank you
please.
for sharing about the book. Makes me want to read it. Actually, like I said before, I have attended a review of the book. One of the person review it, but I haven't read it myself. So I really am interested in this topic. And this book also reminds me of The Righteous Mind. And David said he's also reading it. It's about how people are divided by their political and religion beliefs, right? But it's okay to be different. But why do people have to fight for it? Why have to have a conflict regarding to that? So I think the book asks us to step back and realize, think again, almost like this is how people come to a conclusion about their belief. So each one of us must be able to see the bigger picture of, oh, okay, probably I'm not 100% correct or right, something like that. So yeah, so I will look for the book, think again.
Yes, actually, there is quite a lot from the book that I cannot discuss here because of the limited time. There are three parts actually. First, individual rethinking. That is what I shared most today. Individual as individual. Secondly, is about how to convince other people to rethink. That is the second part of the book that I haven't mentioned at all. And the third part is collective relearning, how to build a culture of rethinking in our organization. I also haven't talked about this. So if you are interested in this kind of topic, yes, maybe you can read that book. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Donald.
Who wants to do next? Okay, please, David.
Yeah. Currently, my book of choice, it may not belong to the non-fiction, but the lesson learned will be a non-fiction one. Because short one, wait, let me check. The book that I want to share is about Norse mythology. If you're familiar with the Norse mythology, it's a story about Thor, Odin, Freya, Loki.
Yes.
And as well as the realm, Asgard, Midgard, Helheim, Muspelheim. But why did I choose to read this book? Sometimes I like to read a book that is totally out of my topics. For example, I have a read From Here into Eternity. It's about the tradition about how people bury their dead ones. And this one, I'm into mythology. Okay, I just want to know. Because most of us, we know mythology, especially Norse mythology, I do believe from Marvel Universe. Am I right? You know it from Avengers.
Exactly. You name it, every Avengers movie.
Yep. So
Okay.
I want to know. And what are the key takeaways from the book? Yeah, I will not share the story. Definitely, I will not share the myths because the story itself is so strange, even a lot strangers than the fiction. For example,
But the myth is
mhm,
also fiction.
yes, but it's even stranger than the fiction. For example, can you imagine that Loki actually has 3 sons? The first one is Fenrir, is a wolf. The second one, the name is his daughter name is Hel. She loved to torture people, so that's why from Odin she was given a realm that is called Helheim, so that she can freely torture people. And the last one is the Loki's son is Jorgunmander, is a huge snake that circle around the earth. From the logical perspective, say, what is this? But what are the key takeaways? The key takeaways is about the power of story. As we know, mythology is a story that actually people do believe. Especially Norse mythology, Viking people around 700 or 800 AD, they do believe that this is true. They believe that all of them, they stay at Midgard, while all the heaven and gods, they stay in Asgard. Yeah, so Pipit, answering your question, they are gods. Yes, they are. So, so the power of story. Even though, even now, we, if we, let's say, if we believe that story, we will. That's, it is not possible that we do believe that story. But people in 700, 880, they do believe it's as a true one. And how this story affect the civilization. So here is the example: the concept about heaven and hell. This concept about heaven and hell is actually exists from maybe from the very first beginnings. The Zoroastrian is some kind of the first religion in Persia. They do believe in the concept of heaven and hell. It means if you do good things, then you go to heaven. If you do bad things, then you go to hell. Egyptian also believe about the concept of heaven and hell. Same concept. If you do good things, you go to heaven. If you do bad things, you go to hell. But I think the Egyptian, the methods is a bit stricter because as they will weight your heart in a scale and the other one is with the feather. If your heart is heavier than the feather, then it means you don't pass, you go to hell. But in Norse mythology, the concept is a bit different. The concept of heaven, they call it Valhalla. So in Valhalla is a place where you can have feast with Odin. That is Valhalla. And the hell is, well, basically, if you go there, you get tortured. Same things, but this time not in the fire, but in the cold and dark place. So it's a bit different, yeah. Most of us know now in hell you get burned in the fire. But what makes
I
the
think
difference?
because the birth of the myth is from the north.
Yes.
That's why they picture fire as they picture hell as a cold place.
Yes, I guess so.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is about the criteria how you can go to heaven or Valhalla or how you can go to hell. Ah, it's a bit different. Anyone can guess how you can go to Valhalla.
You die in a battle.
Okay.
You kill your enemies.
Almost correct, Pipit. Yeah. You go, basically you go to Valhalla if you die briefly in a battle. And you go to hell if you die because you are getting old, if you are sick, or if you die cowardly in a battle. So that is how you go to Valhalla or how you go to Helheim.
So if someone dies a natural cause, always go to hell.
I
Natural
think
cause,
so.
like getting old.
I don't know for sure that one or not. That's a difficult question to answer.
Donald, maybe if you have a chance to get old, means no one has killed you. You have not hurt anyone. No one wants to kill you and you survive until old age.
Yeah, so
This is
not brave enough.
just my
Not brave enough.
theory.
So how this story affect the civilization? As we know, Viking is known because of its bravery. They are not afraid to die. And it actually makes sense if you know the story behind it. Why they have to be afraid? Because if they die in battle, oh, so it means this is the time for me to go to Valhalla. They even afraid if they are getting old and die because of natural cause. Because if you experience that, then definitely you go to hell. So actually, this is the myth. This is the power of story that can shape a culture, a civilization. So that is the key takeaways. The power of story that people believe it can shape the way of their thinking. So yeah, I guess that's the key takeaways for me from reading even more than fiction books. Yep.
Do you have the book with you?
It's in Kindle. Wait. Yeah. Wait, tick, tick, tick.
I have a question, David.
Yes.
Ah, Neil Gaiman. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Neil Gaiman is,
Mhm.
yeah, we have talked about it. 1,000 books, more than 1,000 books.
Very
My question is,
productive.
do you think the
Mhm.
mythology positively affected the Viking or negatively?
I cannot say it's a positively or negatively, Pipit. Yeah, it's about shape their way of thinking. So we cannot say something is positive or negative. Actually, the one thing is they make England suffer.
True, true.
Yeah. But for Viking, it's just the way of life. They will fight in a battle. They will drink, fight again, and die in the battle. That's how they live their life.
Yeah, I watched in Pawn Stars that when the Viking was seen on the horizon, their boats,
Mhm.
people from the shore just start collecting their gold already. Okay, they're coming.
Mhm.
There's no chance in fighting them, so they just drop the gold, silver on the port. So basically, no battles even involved because they were so famous to
Mhm.
being fierce.
Mhm.
So that's like a thought control. So they control people with fear, not an actual battle.
Yes, and they don't bother to do good things because that's not how you go to Valhalla.
No, that's negative. That's a negative influence.
I have a question. Why did
Yes,
you
no doubt.
choose to read the Norse mythology? I mean, there are so many mythologies. Why not like Greek or something like that?
Actually, I'm already preparing some mythologies. I already prepared the Egyptian mythology and also the Greek mythology as well. Uh, it just happened that at the same time I also play a video game called Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So okay, so why not learn in depth as well about Viking
Assassin's Creed
and
has
Norse
a
mythology?
movie, yeah? Assassin's Creed, it has a movie
Yep.
or not? Yeah, okay.
Yes,
Yes,
there
it
is
has the movie. Yeah. Mhm.
assassin.
Okay, I have another question. Do you have, what
I
do you
think
think?
that was the actual intention David read the book.
Influenced by the game, that's why.
Yes. Totally. Not because he was curious, but because of the game.
One thing lead to another.
Yeah, so
Correct.
what David just said reminds me of what Yuval wrote in *Sapiens*, and
Mhm.
Yuval used the term myth. So every culture
Yep.
has certain myth. Even today,
A
we have myth
story.
like corporation, stock
Mhm.
market. It is myth according to him. And
And also
everybody,
one thing that if I mention is gonna be a bit controversy, religion. Mhm.
Wait, what? You have not finished your sentence.
Hmm?
You have not finished your sentence.
Religion.
Yeah, what about it in the book?
Yeah. It's basically on the book of Sapiens. In Sapiens, Yuval Noah Harari mentioned that religion is actually one of the fiction that people tell.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Remember now.
Mhm.
actually everything that we cannot touch is
Mm.
myth according to Yuval.
Mhm. Fiction.
Stock market,
Yep.
your
Mhm.
bank account, and everything else. Debt. There is a chapter there about debt. So you
Mhm.
deposit only 1 million, but the bank can issue 10 million. So that's also myth.
Mhm.
I have another question. I can have many questions here. So, because you have read many stories and mythologies, what are some good, I mean, maybe the person or sources of good storytelling so far that you have found?
Good storytelling. Wait.
I mean, that impressed you the most, maybe?
Storytelling in fiction or non-fiction, Donald?
Can be both,
Can
fiction
be
or
both.
non-fiction.
Storytelling, yeah. What I know is the storytelling that is given verbally, not in writing. My favorite one is from Toastmaster, actually, Craig Valentine. Craig Valentine, I can say he is the best in storytelling. But the method of delivery is speaking, not writing.
If it's the best storytelling, in my opinion, would be J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord
Oh.
of the Rings.
Mhm.
And then second one would be Harry Potter. Then the third one maybe Dan Brown.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Now you remind me, Pipit. If the best storyteller in writing, I will say George R.R. Martin and Dan Brown.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Fire and Ice, yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Game of
Game of Thrones.
Thrones.
But you know what? Oh my goodness. Well, but for those who did not watch the series, yeah,
Mhm.
the series, the last season was actually written by the producer, not
Mhm.
George.
Yep.
That's why it's a big difference.
Mhm.
Like, how come the story is so, anti-climax? Is so, apa sih namanya?
Plot
Ilfeel
twist.
gitu ya.
Mm,
Mhm.
Very ilfeel
mm.
because the ending was written by the producer, not the actual author.
Yep. Actually, I have read the book as well. So far the book is only until the death of Jon Snow.
Yes.
Mhm. And then after
That's why, huh?
George R.R. Martin hasn't finished the book yet.
Money, because the contract to make the series is
Mhm.
already there due to the high rating of the TV series.
Mhm.
Then they decided to entertain the viewer. That's why the story becomes a bit plot twist here and there. So for for those who read the book, it will be a big, it will be a big disappointment because we do know how it ends. But then when watching the movie, it's like, whoa, what do you mean? I mean, the ending is like, I don't know, I cannot even forget the ending of Game of Thrones. So
Mhm.
thank you for mentioning. Now I want to remarathon the Game of Thrones again.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll
And
actually
the
plan to
question
read the
from
book when the ending is already out from
Mm.
George.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, Donald, I think
question for David, maybe from Diaz or Pipit.
uh, I think you mentioned everything I want to ask already. I just want to
Diborong semua.
comment. Yeah.
Oh, can I ask one thing for Donald and also David? What's the
Mhm.
next book you want to read?
Okay. Good question. What I want to read is Connect. Connect. Wait, it's a book about interpersonal communication. It's actually a new book that is just launched. I saw it on Perry Plus. Connect.
How about Donald?
I haven't decided yet. So I'm currently reading one chapter of this book and one chapter of that book because there are many in my.
Wow, you don't get confused if you read
Not-
one chapter like that.
no, it's like just sampling the book, and then when I got hooked with one, I will finish it.
Okay.
So like last month, I finished A Man for All Markets. Actually, I mentioned it,
Mhm.
a book about a mathematics professor who wanted to beat the dealers in Las Vegas casino.
Gambling, yeah.
Yeah, gambling. So it's
Did
very
he
good.
make it though?
Sorry?
Was he able to do it?
Oh yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
And he got banned from playing blackjack.
from
And
entering.
then he and a colleague from MIT created a wearable computer. This is in 1960s to beat not blackjack this time, but roulette. Roulette. So very interesting, very playful. So I learned a lot from that book. Maybe one day I can share it. But yeah,
Is there a movie about him? Seems like an interesting person. Usually there's a movie.
oh, I don't know a movie about him, but a movie about beating the casinos at blackjack. Yes, there is one, but by other people called
Oh, okay.
21.
Okay,
Oh
okay.
yeah, I remember 21.
Yeah.
Four mathematics for students in MIT
Yes.
study mathematics, but then they applied it by this under the supervision of their lecturer
Yes.
to be the blackjack,
The
right?
house.
And then they win lots of money, but then in the end,
Don't say the end. I haven't watched
oh
it.
sorry, I don't mean to be a spoiler.
Well, she did not finish her sentence. So in the end, we'll
In
just
the
stop there.
end, dot. You have to
Okay.
watch. Okay.
What about you, Pipit?
I will go last. So let's go with Diaz.
Okay. All right. Thank you, David.
Thank you,
Thank you,
David.
David.
So Diaz.
Okay. The title of the book is Good Economics for Hard Times, and the reason why I decided to read the book, no particular reason, because actually this book was voted last year, but then we didn't have the chance to read it together since the policy of the book club changed. However, since I already have the book, so I decided to read it anyway. So for the key takeaways from the book, I'd like to can I share screen from over here? Okay.
Yes.
Mm, okay, is it, can you see it already? Okay, so um, the key takeaways from the book, I would like to discuss 5 points. So the first one is both authors mention about MEGA. It's the abbreviation of Make Economics Great Again, because they do believe that economics is the first thing that everyone should have in mind in terms of developing the countries, developing our life. I mean, it should be the very first priority. And then the second one is they mention about the immigrants, because when Donald Trump, I mean, was when Donald Trump was the president, he was somehow declare a Cold War against the immigrants, and I think both of them are both immigrants, the author. So they do against of what Donald Trump said about the immigrants, because they think immigrants are the one who can make the economics great again, because in terms of developing the nation, they do open new job opportunities, and the immigrants are very skillful for the works that don't need lots of communication. And then the native, like the Americans, they can be the one with the higher position. So they think that Donald Trump should not see the immigrants as the one who will take away the jobs. Instead, they will help the Americans great again, if he thinks about it. But sadly, no. And then here they mention about the statistic before the immigrants came to the U.S., and when the immigrants not coming again to the U.S. since the wall has been raised up, right, by the president. So this is the takeaways from key takeaways from for the immigrants point. And then the third one is about the discriminations, and so the discriminations is even nowadays, they still have this what they call the statistical discrimination. For example, mm, the Asians are the one who is very excel in math, and the black uh, is the drug dealer, and the white one is the racist. So on these things, they do believe that the media should be the one who play the role of changing this perspective, which is I don't know if when this book out, the Netflix is already launched or not, but what I see in the Netflix nowadays is that they do really help about changing the views of like Asians, the black, and then the basically all the immigrants like the Latins. mm, they are now the face of the main actor and main actresses, especially if we talk about the teenager movies that is originally made by Netflix. So discriminations is still a very long way to go to make it equal, but they do see the opportunities, and they do see that it will change. It will change, even though it will take a very long time. And then the fourth one is the about the education. Uh, First, they do have this concept that population is the one who will make the education worse, because for example, if one family have 3 children and compared to one family who have only one, to have only one child, then the education will be a lot better for the family who have only one child, instead of the 3, because the parents will be able to give a better education. But that's not how the authors see it, because they do also believe that high population will be like a force, will be like a we call like a forced effort for the government to make a better education, because they do see that there are lots of children already and they have to do it. It's like no further questions. You have to make the education easily access for every children. So this is a very, and I think this is why Bill Gates is he mentioned that he really loves this book, because it does open your mind into new things, the one that we don't know before, but now, because they present it, and then again they do have the statistics, they do have the studies, so then we are really convinced that what they are telling in the books is the one that we should aim for. So, and then the fifth one is the climate change, and it is related to the book that I read and discussed with you guys before. A few months back, I discussed about the uninhabitable Earth. Although the book is very miserable in terms of the um, the language, and because the writer David Wallace Wells is only mentioned about all the bad stuff that will happen in few decades from now. And then the funny thing about when they mention about the climate change is, first in the very first chapter of this book, they mentioned that we should aim for economic as the priority compared to every other industry. But then when they mention about the climate change, and they do see the statistics and all the bad stuff that will happen if we don't take care of our environment, then they change it to we should take care and make priority of the environment first, because uh, things like things like people will be less productive if we have like a very hot weather, and then children will also score less, based on the studies, due to the it's getting hotter nowadays, so then they do have decline score in their school, and then the agriculture also decrease, so then it will make a food crisis. And then they said that we should really take care of the environment instead of the economy. And then the quotes that I'd like to share is economics is too important to be left only to the economists. So I think it's a ajakan for each and every one of us to take care of the economics, because even the economics alone will not help the economics. So I guess that's it. I will stop share. And then is there a question that I'd like to discuss is this one. Humans, they said that humans are hard to replace, especially in teaching and caring of elderly. Do you agree with this point or not?
Especially in teaching and caring the elderly, right?
Yes.
Okay, I will try to answer first. So for teaching, I'm not sure because nowadays we have, I don't know it means like teaching through YouTube, is that counted as human or not?
I think it still count as human.
Oh, okay.
It's
So
still, because there should be someone who will explain, although they are using the technology to spread the lesson learned. I think.
you can write it as a kind of teaching that is not human. Is there any in the book?
Basically like machines, and I think most computer skills, because they do have the program, or they do have the step-by-step instructions, something like that.
Okay, so my answer will be yes, I agree. I think still human for the foreseeable future until we have something called general artificial intelligence. In the movie Iron Man, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, something like that.
Marvel again.
Yes. Do you have other opinions from others?
Can you repeat about the elderly part? Yes.
Okay. Because the book here mentioned about that humans, they said that humans are hard to replace, especially in teaching social skills and caring for elderly. Do you agree with this or not?
Uh, yes, kind of. I think it's just if we somehow do not prioritize in education by people, I think there are so many things that will not be passed on to the next generation. I think there's a nuance in educations that I think in this case cannot be replaced by a computer, right? It's not about skill, but there's a like philosophy, for example. How do computers teach philosophy? Right? So there are so many abstract concepts that takes nuance to teach. So doesn't cannot be replaced by machine. Or although now we have a lot of people try to came up with some type of technology to replace human intervention, but I think the job as a teacher, for example, is not going anywhere anytime soon. And also caring for the elderly is actually also our priority because all of us will be old someday, right? If we show that we cannot care for the elderly right now, then you should be worried about your future because you will be there someday. So I think, and I heard that the population is getting older and older because of the health technology. So the life expectancy will be much higher. There will be a lot of people who are old. So we need to have a system to take care of the elderly.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, I'm interested with what the question implies. Maybe it's just what I thought about the question implies, in my opinion, that in the future, humans are only irreplaceable in those three fields: teaching, social skills, and caring for the elderly. And everything else can be replaced by computers. Is that what the author implies?
The author didn't really mention about the replacement or well, they mention about the AI, but not that specifically, which made me want to know more about the AI, and and then it's related to my next month's book, which I already have it right now, is The Human Machine, because I want to know more about the AI, and then and again it's also me being range because I want to read about other topics of the nonfiction. So because here they mention lots of things about immigrants. I think the five key points: the immigrants, the social, and then population, education. But AI is only like few things they mentioned, because since AI will replace us, especially in the industrial work, and then because they also state, and then few mention few things about the revolution industry. So yes, and then it's a very thick book, and although I read with you guys the misbehaving, and then other books that I think I'm currently reading it right now is the Freakonomics, but I don't know if I want to continue with that or not, because I still have long list.
I'm reading economics too.
Okay, you
Okay,
tell me
reading the
about
same
it, then I will learn
Only
learn
two
first
chapters left.
learn first from you, and then then I will
Economics can be
continue.
summarized in just one word.
Sorry,
Economics can be summarized in just one word.
really,
Yes,
What would that be?
incentive.
really?
Incentive.
People will
Uh,
behave whether they realize it or not based on the incentive. So everything in economics is about the incentive.
I
That,
actually disagree. That's not the main point that I got from economics. But sorry, Diaz, this is not the book you discussed economics.
Okay,
I think
no worries.
what if we can summarize economics in one book, it would be two words: think again. Yes, this is economics talk about when people try to find out the answer for a certain question. Turned out the answer is actually way off. Like their prediction is way off from the actual truth. So that's what I got from economics. Like the decline of the crime in United States, the sharp decline of crime in the mid 90s. They try to attribute that to, oh, maybe the police is getting better, or maybe because the economy is getting better. But then after research and research, they found out that the reason there's a decline in crime is because 20 years before that, the government legalized abortion. Right? So it's totally unexpected. So think again.
And then
okay, thank you.
the last, I think the last, I would like to share the very last sentence from this book is: the call to action is not just for the academic economists, it is for all of us who want a better, saner, more human world. So then economics is too important to be left to economics. So even though I didn't study about economics, and I used to run away, I have to admit that I used to run away when in high school. I think in the first grade, we were all need to learn about the IPA and the IPS. So everyone should learn about accounting, economics, and stuff. And then I always ran off when the economic studies, and I don't feel I like it. But because I read Misbehaving, and then now I read this, I want to discover more about economics, because I think it's a very complex yet wide world, and we can see it from lots of different perspectives. So I think that's very interesting, and it relates with the book Brewers. lifelong learning. Okay, I think that's it, guys. Any other questions?
Yeah. Any questions from the audience? Audience? From Rizka, maybe just joining us.
I just joined. I don't really but well, I think I'll just comment. Both of the author is two of my favorite laureate, Nobel laureate, because they're like in a way humble and reliable.
Yes.
I mean approachable, I think. And
Mhm.
so I think I would like to read more about their work on education, because they're really very passionate about education to improve the economy. Yeah, that's my comment, I guess.
And then like
Thank
half of the
you.
book, they always mention again and again about the importance of education, the importance of learning and stuff. I think that's it, guys. Thank you.
I have a question for Dias actually.
Sure.
So based on the book, what is the most important thing that we need to improve here in Indonesia, and how, according to the book?
Because they mention about the most of the developed countries, and the first thing is the education. Again, education, because education will, the education will bring another good year for the next generations. And then that's why I remembered about the Anis program. If you ever heard about Indonesia Mengajar, I think it is one of the most
Miss Baswedan.
yes, Indonesia Mengajar is a very good example of how education can be reached by other one who don't have the privilege to go to school, and then we are the one who came there and then teach. um, I think I heard from my friends that mostly they teach only about math and English, because that's the very limited access for children in rural areas. And then uh, they are already more than 1 decade from the first batch of the Indonesia Mengajar, and then they improved a lot. Like the high school student from that area, they managed to get a scholarship to go here and there, to go mostly going abroad. And then it's a very good things, and I can't wait to see what are the good things that will be reached and that will be achieved by them in the next 10 to 20 years from now, because in the first 1 decade they already made a very good improvement, and then they keep on growing, they keep on developing, and I hope they do continue to do so. And I hope that they are not the only one who have this program, but also maybe another initiators or another educators who want to make the similar program. I think that will be wonderful.
Thank
So
you, Dias.
Indonesia
Any
Mengajar
other
is not
question
continue
from
until now,
audience?
yeah?
Sorry.
Indonesia Mengajar is no longer around, yeah? Hello?
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
can you hear me? So
Mhm.
Indonesia Mengajar is no longer around. Is the
Okay.
program stopped?
I think I don't know if they stopped 1 or 2 years back because of the pandemic, but the organization and the teaching is still exist until now, because I heard it from a friend of mine who is still there, who was a teacher. Uh, he was he was sent to Bima in Nusa, uh, in the western part of Lombok. And then I mean the teaching, the dinas is only like 2 years, 1 or 2 years. But then they make the next batch and stuff, and then it's very, we are proud to hear that most of them succeed in their mostly in their education life. So
Right. Yeah, it's a good resume as well. If they're looking for incentive, they also get.
Incentive. It reminds me of the Freakonomics. Okay.
Since we talk about economy.
Okay, any other question or comment for this?
Is there any one suggestion for this hard time? Maybe we can apply from this economic for hard times.
From my own perspective is education because they mention it over and over again, and I think since Kariska mentioned that they are very humble and they want to make they do care a lot about education. This is what this is what they do concern about.
Yeah.
So we are in the right place discussing
Right.
book.
Of course, absolutely. Lifelong learning. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dias.
Is it me now?
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
clear.
Okay, hello everyone. So my book is Habis Gelap Terbitlah Terang. I put it in a nice plastic because this book is 40 years older than me. So I'm really keeping it pristine. Yeah. So what I read is actually on ebook. The one I read on my computer. The reason why I wanted to read this book is partly because of my job. So I got a job to teach Indonesian literature to my students at Surabaya Intercultural School. And I'm trying to get ideas from Facebook. What book should I teach? Right. And most of the time, not a lot of friends actually recommended this book. And it's really true. It's funny because R.R. Kartini is obviously our national heroes in Indonesia, one of the national hero. And even we have our Kartini Day, you know, but this book is not even in the national curriculum. So this is very questionable, right? I think it should be in the national curriculum at some point, maybe grade 9 or 10 should read this book because it's not that long. The principal letters of Kartini is only 21 letters. So there's no excuse not to read this one, especially for Indonesian students. And I have come to respect her even more because of this book. And the key, so that was why I decided to read the book because I needed to teach this. So I read it first before I teach it to my students. What are the key takeaways from the book? First of all, I really want to learn how to write. I know that David is a writer. He has produced 2 or 3 books, right? So I need to catch up on that because I'm so afraid of writing. The reason we need to write is because Kartini is really exceptional because a lot of people are also amazing, right? But they did not leave any historical records why they were so amazing. So Kartini had a very short life, only 25 years old, but she's remembered 100 years after she died. Because what? Because her writing still lasted until now. And it was preserved by the Dutch government, ironically, not by the Indonesian government. So her writing was published in the De Hollander magazines for several decades. And after Indonesia became independent, somehow maybe a lot of students who were studying in Holland started to read about Kartini. So means no hope. There's hope if people don't understand you during your era. Maybe the next generation will understand you because this is what happened to Kartini. She questioned a lot of things that happened. She questioned about polygamy, right? It's not fair for women in her generation. It was very popular, I think, the practice compared to today. And girls were not allowed to go to school because they should be educated inside their home. So even when Kartini fought for the establishment of a school for girls, the pejabat, still did not send their girls to this school. So it's, it was already hard for her to apply for funding, to try to put in proposal to the Dutch colonial government that time to build this school, and they agreed to build it, but no one sent their kids there. So that's another heartbreak that Kartini had to face. But after several decades, fast forward now, then what she said actually makes sense. But that time it was not make sense. She was the one crazy that time. So the reason why we need to write our thoughts is because if somehow we feel out of place in this current era, who knows, maybe the next generation will relate to you and understand what you mean. So this is a really good important to write. And then the next one is, I'm really thinking that there are so many brilliant minds out there, particularly in Indonesia. But the poor thing is that they were not discovered like Kartini. So she was a member of a privileged family. Her mom's side was from Kingdom of Madura, right? The Kerajaan Madura. And then from her father's side was the governor of Jepara. So she came from a privileged family, obviously, right? But she was not the only one who was brilliant. There are so many others who were brilliant, but unfortunately, there's no records to prove it. So this is the main takeaways from it. And then such a short life, I actually cried a few times because she was in prison in her own home for several years. Girls were not allowed to explore outside the yard. And then after that, she was very, what is it called? Heartbroken, seeing her sister became the third wife of another man, for example. And then she criticized a lot about it. But in the end, she also became the fourth wife of other governor of Rembang. So it was the defeat of feminism in this case, because she could not say no to her parents, even when, you know, we thought like she would make it. Come on, we were rooting for you. But in the end, she gave up and did what her parents wanted her to do, become the fourth wife of this governor of Rembang. And then she died shortly after giving birth for her first son and only child, basically. So it's really touching, and I'm really lucky to have read this. Is there a question I'd like to discuss? Yes, I have a question. So the question that Kartini came up with that time is, how come girls not allowed to go to school, right? It was strange that time for girls to go to school. There's no existence. But now it's normal. It's actually even expected and encouraged. So my question is, what do you think about something that today people think is strange, but maybe in the next 50 years will be normal or even expected? What do you think? So while thinking, let me repeat the question. This is a hard question, guys. I've actually asked my students. So that time, 100 years ago, girls were not allowed to go to school. That was the normal, right? But now, after the Enlightenment, girls are actually encouraged to go to school. How about today? What is something that is not normal now and is probably crazy, but you think will be normal next 50 years? Anyone?
Okay, I'll try first.
Yes, go.
Having multiple careers throughout your lifetime. So in the past, the norm is that you take a job and then you are employed in one institution or one company until you retire. But in the future, you will have to reinvent yourself every few years, and you can change your careers maybe multiple times. Okay, so that's my answer.
So career, yeah? Career will be seen as ridiculous next 50 years.
Yeah, you will have to think again and reinvent yourself.
Or like following your passion and interest will be the new normal instead of following your career path. Is that it?
Yes, yes, something like that.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, David.
My answer will be a bit controversy, but who knows? In my opinion, people who don't believe in God or atheism. Nowadays, if you say that you don't believe in God, then people will say, "Oi, are you like crazy?" But
Are you communist?
yes, you are a communist, atheist. But in the forthcoming future, especially when the science will move forward a lot, then I do believe that it will become something in common.
Yes, yes, Rizka. Thank you, David.
I want to ask question actually, but since you asked me question, I have to answer it. And okay, skip. Wait.
You don't have to answer it. I mean, this is not a. Rizka, do you have an idea?
I think in the future, women, it's normal for a working mother to keep their job after a second or third child, because nowadays usually first child, okay, you can keep the job, but like second or maybe third or even just one, it's very uncommon, and the society still thinks that, oh, you are abandoning your responsibility at home. And like myself, I still struggle with that, having my son is being taken care of by grandparents. So yeah, I think in the future, the workplace should be suitable for any like women, also men who want to stay at home, still do the job, but have the flexibility to choose where and how they keep working. Yeah, that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think sorry, repeat. I think the what's seems abnormal today might be normal for the next future is nowadays children are going to one school, and then in that school they learn math, science, English, bahasa and stuff. But then in the future I think um there will be like no official school, but they have their own will, uh whatever they want to follow. Like for example, they are learning math from Kumon, they are learning English from EF, let's say, and then they are learning science
Guitar
from
from
some
YouTube.
guitar, maybe from YouTube
From
or from
YouTube.
Yamaha Music School.
Okay.
And then they will learn taekwondo from the taekwondo club. So it is not necessary for them to be enrolled in a school, but as long as they are learning new things, they know what they're doing, and they instill their minds with lots of new learnings, I think that would put a better output for them in the future.
Okay. Thank you, Diaz. My answer would be the combination of Rizka's and David's answers. So I think something that will be obsolete in the next 50 years is probably marriage. Because, well, related to religion, people get married sometimes. They're afraid to be seen as committing sin, right? Because you're not married yet, right? And then also because uh, if you're married, then you have to stay at home if you're for women, all of these things. And I think the next 50 years, maybe only few people will get married. Yeah. So I think that's my prediction. But we can only know if we still live 50 years from now. That's why, guys, leave your records, right? What you think, just like what Kartini did. Yes, 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 yes. We are doing it, Rizka. Rizka and me are trying to read an anthology. First time. Okay, last one is any question from the audience?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, Diaz, raise her hand first. Go.
Okay. I think you do know that Kartini is not the only woman hero in Indonesia. There are lots of like Rasuna Said, Cut Nyadin, and then
Yeah.
they are also the one who who were very influential even until nowadays. So do you think that to be fair, to be to be to teach the younger generations that there were lots of women who were exist and made a very huge contribution to the Indonesia's independence, not just Kartini but also the other female heroes. Do you think that there should be another, because Kartini has the Kartini Day, and then what else? I think I remember that in the fourth grade I learned about Kartini, and then there was like one chapter in the social science book, history book, about her specifically, but not the other female heroes. Do you think that the other female heroes should be there and included in the National Day as well? Thank you.
Yes,
Because because and then my sister, when she was studying, she said that she need to get a certain permission to access the original document of Kartini, because it was guarded by the Dutch. It was guarded by the
Until now.
Dutch library. Yep, until now. And then you should include like the Kartu Tanda Mahasiswa, and then the what's your purpose of accessing these documents? Is it for paper? And then if it's for final thesis paper and stuff, then you need to get another permission from the campus. And then how long are you going to take? How long are you going to take the documents with you, and then for how many hours, things like that.
I
So
don't
it's
think your
very
sister got it. It's not allowed to touch the
no, it's not.
official letters of
But
Kartini.
the but the but the copy, and then
The copy is
the
fine.
permission,
The copy is
and then
fine.
the permission is only for taking pictures and stuff. And then it's
Mm.
also guarded when she's doing it. She was guarded by the official security and stuff.
Yeah.
So it feels like I'm not going to steal the document anyway. I'm just going to learn something like that. So it was a huge experience.
Yes. So actually, I visited the museum where the National Archive of the Dutch government kept the Kartini's letters, although a lot of them actually lost, and I don't know why, but it was like Alcatraz security, but other things as well, like Keris Diponegoro, all of this, a lot of scrolls from Japanese Old Kingdom, and all of these things very well guarded. Sometimes I feel like, okay, maybe it's better to stay there, because in Indonesia probably it will be rusted or not properly taken care of. They even have a laser that will beep after 15 minutes. So if the laser pick up a drop in temperature or a hike in temperature, there will be alarm like beep beep beep, beep like that, because it will destroy the fragile text. So it's just like super high tech. So I'm really impressed. And to answer Dia's question about other national heroines, right? Christina Martatiahahu, Cut Nyadin, and I think there are so many others, but I don't really
Rasuna
remember.
Said and stuff.
Yeah. So I think it really shows how important it is to even leave a physical record again one more time. The reason why Kartini still has her own Kartini Day and well respected in Europe, right? Because she actually left written record of what she thought that time. There's no record about Chut Nyadin. We actually only heard about her from they call folk memory, passed on from generation to generation, which is a shame, right? Writing is not in our culture in Indonesia. So I think, yes, it should be, we should kind of promote other female heroes, but I also, in other case, it's almost natural to be more famous if you leave something behind, particularly a record. So another two examples will be Marco Polo and Amerigo Vespucci. things that I always tell in my class. So you know that the one discovering America was actually Columbus, right? Christopher Columbus. And he was about to name the continent as Colombia after his own name, Columbus, Colombia. But the name did not stick. But the name that stuck was actually America from Amerigo Vespucci. Amerigo Vespucci was Columbus' secretary. He was not an important person, but he was the one writing a record about this continent and charting the map, how to get there, blah, blah, blah. And he published this record after Columbus died. And then the whole continent was named after him, not Columbus, for example. So this is how the huge impact of leaving a record behind. Another thing is Marco Polo. There were so many famous sailors in the past, in the antiquity, right? We have Magellan, James Cook, yeah, so many. But the people remember the most is Marco Polo and Zheng He. I think Zheng He is in China, but the record was in Chinese, right? But the Marco Polo became very famous because of his book. So I think this is even more evidence showing that leaving a record behind is really important. That's my response, yes. And I remember David has a question.
Okay, Pipit. So Kartini already produced great outputs in terms of her writing, but I also do believe that you cannot produce great output without great input. I mean, how did she learn? Especially you mentioned that women at that age, at that era, you cannot learn. Well, how did she get her, I don't know, education,
Inspiration.
thoughts, inspiration, influence? Yeah. Mhm.
Actually, that's a really good question, David, and I almost forgot to answer it. So Kartini's older brothers went to Holland to study that time because they were anak pejabat, right? The children of governor of Jepara. So her older brothers, two of them went to Netherlands and they always sent her books. Always sent her books. So this is self-taught. She's self-taught and she get a lot of these ideas from the West, I would say, from the Western canon, and inspired her basically. And another thing is she also was not shy to talk to the wives or of Dutch officers. So she made friends with Dutch officers, wives. So most of the letters were actually sent to the wife of the general something, the colonel something in Batavia, or all of these places in Semarang. So I think two things that really influenced her is from the books that her older brother sent her, and also another thing is from expanding her contacts, uh, to the people, the Dutch women.
Thank you, Pipit. Yeah. So books and mentor then, yeah.
Yes, books and mentor. That's a
Uh-huh.
really good way to sum
Uh-huh.
it up. Books and mentor. Or just contacts, maybe, not mentor. Because they were not really mentored. Like
Friends.
friends, yes, friends.
Mhm.
Friends. Like you're not alone doing it. I think that's really
Mhm.
important. So she was not alone.
Yep.
Right.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
we have 15 minutes, guys. I think it should be for Rizka. My next book. Sorry, my next book is I will read 30 Seconds Philosophy. So this is the collection of philosophy and explained in 30 seconds each. So yes, I will learn about philosophy because I cannot get my head around it. Hopefully this one helps. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Now
you.
let's go to Rizka.
We will finish at 3:05, yeah, because we start 5 minutes late. So we are going, our target time is 3:05, not 3 p.m.
Yes, 3:05.
Yeah. So Rizka?
Okay, I wouldn't take that long. So, good afternoon, book brewers. So my book is title is Negotiate This by Caring, but Not That Much by Herb Cohen. So it's basically a stories and experience and personal recommendations from him. He's a very active negotiator, and he's been doing it at least 4 decades. He's 82 years old now, and I've read that he's after his wife died, he now accept what, like, if anybody want to get him as negotiator, now he's going it again. He's he's very experienced from all the way from hostage negotiator and negotiation in the state level. Like he's been in American presidential about 3 or 4 that he mentioned, all the way to showing stories about bargaining products, about uh, how his wife wants him to buy a certain car in a specific price tag, and how he mentioned it, and all the way to his family, where outside he's a very cockily said, I don't care about anything else, so I can be a good negotiator, but at home, because I care too much about my family, I'm becoming very bad at negotiating. And so why I decided reading the book, basically I'm bad with negotiating, and this book also makes me care too much, so I haven't really finished the book yet, because if I may put a score in this book, I would say like 3.5 or 4, because it's very difficult to extract what he basically mean and his recommendation, because just like how he negotiate with a lot of uh, uh, in harsh way, he have a lot of BS thing. I mean, he walk it out explaining a lot about everything else, until in the end he state his what he actually means. And this book also is very difficult for us to take what he really means. So yeah, that's the why I decided to read the book, and I will try to do it. And at the same time, I've been having something that I want. There's an issue at the office, and I feel like I have to step up and to negotiate better. And so I want to take anything out of this book. And so, what are the key takeaways? First, we really should detach or separate ourselves from what are stake in the negotiation, simply because we can see patterns, relationship, and interconnection between issues that is being discussed in the negotiation. And second, we have to observe the time, information, and the power of ourselves and our counterpart. Herb really believe that no matter what we feel right now, we actually have control over what's on the negotiation, as long as first we have to detach, and the second we have to take a lot of information regarding the negotiation itself. And the third one is our attitude and actions have the potential to determine the distribution of available sources, satisfactions of those who are involved, even the nature of relationship. For example, if we are, he mentioned that if we go to negotiation in a higher level, like very apa ya, apa namanya, sangat keras at the first time, it's very hard for us to take it in a like slower part. So he recommend, firstly we go in a friendly way, like a good cop bad cop. We go with a good cop first. If we have a stalemate, then we take it higher, because negotiation is not the end of relationship. It should be a start of a future relationship. So how we walk away from the negotiation table is what matters. And the last one, which is very important, no mostly is an opening positions. We need to get curious of their or our counterpart knowledge and information about why they take their positions. And so we have to be very careful if we get a quick yes, because it can actually means no in the future because they might change their mind.
All suspicious.
Yes.
Maybe it's overpriced.
Yes, indeed.
20
So-
million? Yes, yes, go. Take it. Take it and go.
So yeah, that is so far what I can share about this book, and I really want to go deeper and actually thinking more how to put this in practice, because yeah, it's very interesting and opened up my mind a lot about negotiation table. So that's what I can share. So what question I would like to ask you? So he mentioned that negotiation is a game. What do you think? What do you think? Is negotiation can be considered as a game?
It is like a mind game.
I think
Somehow a mind game.
it is, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Even if the
Not a
stake is
fun
high,
one.
even if it's a high stake.
Some people do enjoy the thrill of negotiating, right? And it's funny because I'm a debater. I teach debating more than 10 years. I don't enjoy negotiating.
Okay.
Usually because of the information asymmetry, like what I put in the chat box. I think you mentioned it. What I know is different from what the other persons know. So
Yeah.
they probably know more about how much this particular thing actually costs, how much actually a certain company is valued, while I don't know. So it's not fun to keep second guessing, this important information. And also last
That's
year
right.
we talked about never split the difference.
I was about to say that.
Never split the difference. The board, right? I think it's really dangerous to have this mindset of never split the difference. What if the other party also have the same mindset? Then you will have a deadlock because both of you don't want to split the difference, don't want to meet in the middle. So I personally do not enjoy negotiating, and it's not a game for me.
Okay.
And yeah, I'd rather have a fixed price.
I want
Me
to comment
too.
on it. So
Yeah,
how can, if both parties
yeah.
do not want to split the difference, then there will be a deadlock. Actually, I'm not sure whether I read it in that book or somewhere else. Actually, you can get a deal by having, because every parties have different things that are important to them.
Agree.
So that party can get everything they want. I mean, not split, and I can get everything I want, not split. So there is a way to negotiate with different things that are important to different parties. I think,
Ideally, right?
sorry?
Ideally.
Actually, that is our job, right? As a negotiator, we have to
Yeah.
find out their motivation, what is important for them.
For them.
Yeah, for them.
Okay.
And for us
It's
as
just
well.
like, in my opinion, particularly like in a business or something, the motivation is, the incentive is money, right? And so the other person wants to get as much profit as they can. The other one don't want to give too much profit to the other guy. So that's what I think is the interesting part. But if both parties have different priorities in mind, one is kidnapping a tourist, the other is, the priority is saving the tourist, the other priority is money. I think somehow we can still find a drawing a line somewhere. But if both of them only care about the money, then it will be hard.
Yeah.
Maybe David has an opinion because David read a lot of negotiation books.
Yes.
Yep. I read also Never Split the Difference. The most important thing is we have to know the context. Chris Voss' book, Never Split the Difference, His background is FBI negotiator. And why the title is never split the difference. If you are a hostage negotiator, you cannot split the difference. Let's say you have 10 hostages. Okay, can you just free 5 of them and let the other 5 die? You cannot.
Just
Or give right hand
give
and
only
leave the
the
left
Yeah.
hand behind.
leave the give the head
That
back
is,
to the country. Leave the
that is why he gave the title never split the difference. And also most of the examples also about the negotiation is a non-monetary negotiation. So that's why he used lots of actually communication technique in his book. It will be totally different if you read like Herb Cohen and also Roger Dawson book. Like also William Ury, Roger Fisher is mostly about business negotiation. It's about money, it's about value where well basically in that context you can still split the difference and it's still okay. You don't kill someone. So, in my opinion, those two books about negotiation they complement each other. They don't like oh this one is better, this one is not. But study both of the books will equip you. Chris Voss, if you want to learn about the communication technique in negotiation, it's good. But if you want to know the details like how to do business context negotiation, Herb Cohen, Roger Dawson book is also good books. Yeah. It's complement one another. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Actually, Cohen also mentioned about hostage negotiation, where he mentioned about mollusk, about Iranian, where he got called up and to negotiate a hostage, and about how to free the, how to give like some kind of, is there any negotiation in that certain idea. And so he shared his thought where, unlike American, where they don't like to negotiate anything, Iranian, they like to bargain everything. He mentioned that. So it's up. I mean, the basically is about understanding the culture and how we give instead of take and give. Like, yeah, absolutely, you cannot spread the difference if related to hostage negotiating, but you gotta understand what the like the intention of the conflict itself. It's not about it's really all about money. No, because he mentioned that uh, when it comes to suicide bombers, they don't think about money. They think about other things. So if we honor what is important to them and listen to what they really mean, then we can come up with alternative. It's not a yes, no, no. There are always other third or alternative. So Cohen, in a way, explaining that there are always other option instead of yes and no, and it's always important to take time to recess and reassess the situations. And yes, life matters, but if we get involved too much on it, we couldn't see the pattern and relationship in the negotiation. That's what the book mentioned as well. So yeah, that's my part. So any questions from you?
Yep, we have 4 minutes left. Any questions for Rizka? Actually, I have a question
Yeah.
because Herr Cohen has another book titled "You Can Negotiate Anything."
Yes.
So why did you choose this book? Negotiate this over that book?
First, because you can negotiate everything is very it's an old book. Yeah, because the first book is like 1970s, and this second book is 2003, and he only published two. And the second, I intrigued about the word at the sentence by caring, but not that much, because when I saw that, I know that I'm caring too much. so I want to know how in the world that someone can be caring but not that much related to negotiation. So that's what intrigues me in this.
Yeah, I actually read the review on Goodreads about that, right? Care but not too much.
Yeah.
And I want to say that we must read this book before meeting Odin
Odin.
in
In Valhalla.
Odin's court.
Yeah.
Okay, any other question for Rizka?
Before
Yeah.
that, can we take a photo first?
Okay.
And so hold up the book,
Our book.
our book this month. If
Any
it's
book, right?
ebooks, also, yes. Okay. Don't put it a bit down. So, no, the angle.
Oh.
Yes. No, like that. Yes, okay, good. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, let me check the result. Okay, good. Now, carry on, Rizka.
Okay. I think now is there any question about this?
I want to know more about negotiation since they never split the difference, but this is a very long list of reading, so I think do you have a a lot simpler books about negotiation other than this one?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
I was eyeing Brian Tracy's Negotiation, but I
Okay.
haven't read it.
Okay. So
Is there a book about Steve Jobs' negotiating skill? Because I think
Not yet.
really
I
good
haven't
at
read
negotiating.
it. Yes, he
only
is.
they mention in the biography.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, he should have written a book about negotiating, right? He's so good at it. He bought Pixar very cheap
Yeah.
yeah.
and then turned it into billions. So I
Mhm.
think
Okay, but I will check. I also curious about negotiation. We'll check if there's any like simpler book.
Because it's a life skill that I think everyone should have because it's very applicable even in daily life. No, and then regardless your gender, your occupation, you need to negotiate somehow in your life.
Yeah. Oh, I think David can recommend one book. David, what's your best one book to read about negotiation?
Read Roger Dawson book. Roger Dawson. I forgot the title, but I summarized it in a short article. The beginning. I just copy and paste the link to my blog where I summarize the first part of Roger Dawson books. Yeah, you can have it as a start, as a teaser.
I think it's Secrets of Power
power
Negotiation.
negotiating.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. Yeah, that is very simple and applicable.
Okay.
I read it now. Apa itu negosiasi? Contoh, tips, complete, everything. And then you put ibu-ibu bargaining
No,
in the
actually,
market.
he put
with the picture.
ibu-ibu first before writing anything
Oh,
else.
it's
So
he's
that's a
selling
good hook.
the ibu-ibu
Yes.
as the head as the headline of the whole article. So now we know exactly. So it means that this is very applicable in daily life.
Yeah.
Donald is 306.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So great meeting today. I learned a lot from you all, and I hope all of you also learn a lot from each other. We are going to meet again next month, second Saturday every month. Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye-bye. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye. 10th of
Bye.
April, yeah, next
10th, yep.
10th of
Mhm.
April. Okay, see you next month.
Bye.
Bye
Stay
bye.
safe.